late night, I'm having a conversation with my partner, and who is also a design executive, and he's like, you know what? And he's a serial entrepreneur, so I'm very privileged in that sense to have someone who's built successful tech companies before. It's like, if there's anything that you can do in the world, and if you had all the money in the world, Mel, and that's not a problem, what would you do? And I remember like so angrily being like, I would start a design school for kids that look like me because I wish I would have known about design when I was growing up. And I was so mad. He's like, well, do it. And I was like, what? He was like, do it. And I was like, nah, you tripping. I can't do that. And he's like, what makes you think that you can't do it? He's like, you successfully broke into tech for not having a technical background. And I was like, okay, let me try this. So I went on squarespace.com, found a website, the URL domain name, hosted by GoDaddy, and I quickly was like, well, what do I want front and center to look like and be like and sound like? And I wanted it to be strong, I wanted it to be bold, and a lot of it was actually inspired by some of the advertising and graphic design work that we see in some of these low-income communities, like, you know, the cash mark, like yellow, big, bold, like just basically calling your attention. So a lot of the poor type of designs that you would see in low-income communities. And I wanted to take something that was negative and made the hood look terrible, and I wanted to take that brand and elevate that brand a little bit more. So I took on a red color because I wanted it to be bold, I wanted it to be courageous, and I wanted it to be loud, and I named it front and center because no one was talking about the lack of diversity in tech, specifically racial diversity tech, as loud as I needed them to. So I took on a branding that was gonna do that. And I was just gonna show up in the room with my afro and be like, hi, I'm here to talk about why tech is so white. And yeah, and it was scary at first, and I started asking, I tried to go down the VC round. I heard so many no's, and I told people what I wanted to build, and I was like, hey, can you fund my business? And they were like, this sounds like a really great idea, and we totally get it, but yeah, that's problems that we just don't have, so we don't understand why we need to fund those type of initiatives. And so time and time after again, I just kept on hearing no so many times that I was expecting to hear a no. And that one time that I heard a yes, I started crying. And I was like, oh my God, you actually believe in me. And the funny thing was, the yes came from Van Jones. I don't know if you guys know who Van Jones is. Yeah. Van Jones and I worked for a little bit together, and we were developing a curriculum for how we can introduce tech to communities of color. And he took me to this party where Ben Horowitz, who's one of the big VC venture capitalists in Silicon Valley, who yeah, he's amazing, and his book is actually back there, so it's kind of funny that his book's there. But Ben Horowitz, I met him, and I pitched him my idea on the spot. And Dan was like, hey, this Ben Horowitz, let's go tell him about your idea for bringing design education to people of color. And I was like, I'm not ready. I'm freaking out. I'm like, okay. So I go over there and I tell Ben Horowitz my idea to help tech be less, to help diversify tech. And so I see Ben Horowitz and I'm like, okay, well, I want to build this program. And Van goes, he can't hear you, speak louder. Okay. So I tell him this idea, and I was expecting to hear a no, because at that time I was just like, no, no, no. So Ben Horowitz tells me this thing that I will never forget, and he says, there's offense and there's defense. And he's like, you're taking people of color who are natural culture creators and you're positioning them to win. He's like, when you look at blues, hip hop, jazz, rock and roll, all these music genres, they were created by people of color. He's like, this is such a great idea. He's like, more people of color should pursue design and technology. Let's go tell Kanye West about it. Oh. Luckily, Kim was pregnant at the time, so we couldn't find Kanye. But I met him.